What's up, YouTube? In today's episode, we've got something different going on. I have got the men of the Sakha agencies, my managers, got Jacob back and Vasa Hansel, Big Voss. And today, we're going to do a Q&A with them. I'm going to ask them a bunch of questions. And so where you might get some value in this video is if maybe you're a producer for an agency and you want to someday grow into a management position, or maybe own your own agency someday, or maybe you're already in that seat and you just want to know what another agency is doing. If this is your first time tuning in, we have grown a $20 million insurance agency over the last 7 years. We're operating in 2 states. We've got an office in Oregon and here in Vegas. This is the Vegas office, and we're managing about 20 plus staff, and we're just getting started. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so let's get it started. Jacob, well, let's start it off with you guys. Like, Jacob, what's up, man?
What's up?
Tell the audience about who you are.
Well, you've already introduced me. I'm Jacob. I'm the Director of Operations for the Sakha Allstate Agency. I've been with you for 4 years now. It's a little bit over 4. We started in March together, kind of actually when COVID happened, which was insane. Dropped my whole life to start working here on a whim. I started off as an LSP and worked my way up, added value with everything. And here I am now, basically running this place. So.
Yeah, I started the YouTube channel around the same time that you joined us. And then Vasa, what's your story?
I'm the Director of Sales here at the Sakha Agency. I started as an LSP as well with Jacob, and I'm coming up on 5 years in November. Yeah, I started as an LSP. I had no sales background whatsoever. I came from Chick-fil-A, and that was my first job ever. And yeah, this was kind of the first big boy move, I always phrase it. And we've been rocking ever since.
What's cool about your guys' story is when you guys first came, I made some mistakes with having managers. And I think I made that clear to you guys that I had no interest in having managers right away, because I was kind of like burned and scarred from some trauma with like putting people in those seats, and then it just crumbled. And so when you guys joined us, those people were, I don't think those agents were, I guess they were on their way out maybe. And I had basically put people in manager seats just because, 1, they've been with me for a while, and 2, they were rock stars at sales. And I learned quickly after that you can be a rock star salesperson. You can be number 1, and that doesn't mean you should be a manager. And that was kind of the case with the 2 people that I put in seats. Even before, I had somebody that started with me, and just because she was with me for a while, I was like, you're going to be my manager, my office manager, right? And I don't even know why. It was like something that maybe she didn't even bring up, but I was just like, we're going to do this because you've been with me. And it's like, I wanted to like reward her loyalty in a way. One thing led to another, and you realize that, okay, they're not really connecting with the rest of my team in a positive way. And if I don't actually do something about this, I'm going to lose some top performers. So I guess the first lesson that I would say is somebody could be a rock star in sales, and that doesn't mean that they should be a manager. The biggest difference between you guys is, 1, you guys were, I think Jacob made it clear since day one, like, I'm fully capable of being a manager, and that's what I want to do. And you maybe weren't as vocal about that. I just paid attention to like how you treated everyone around you. Somebody asked you for help, you were the first one out of your seat. I got you. And you guys did all this while still crushing your personal goals. That's kind of what spoke out to me. But I mean, you guys can maybe open up the floor on that. Did you?
Yeah, so I didn't want to be a manager. I guess growing up an athlete, you kind of develop leadership skills that you don't know are leadership skills until someone else points it out. So I guess that's kind of what you saw. And kind of what's crazy was when I started, those 2 managers were still there. So I got to kind of see what it was like, especially, being the first big kid role or big boy move. It was unique to see how they did things, how they, treated the team, how they treated each other, how they reflected you, because basically we're the image of you when you're not here. So it was interesting to see that. But no, I definitely didn't want to be a manager. I didn't think I want to be a manager. It took me being away from the agency because, I had my knee replaced. And that's when you voiced it to me that like me having that missing presence kind of identified that I should be somewhere else within the agency. And it was something that I didn't think of until you kind of approached it to me. And yeah.
Let me ask you, when you were brand new, you were doing pretty good in the beginning. did you recognize, what was your observation of the other managers' leadership? Did you realize that in your mind, was it these guys are doing a great job, or did you recognize maybe you saw something else because you were in a different phase of the agency and we didn't communicate every day. So I guess what was your perception of that situation?
It was tricky. It's like when you're a kid and you have that one uncle that's cool to you, but it's because he's the first edgy person you've ever met. And then when you grow up, you realize, damn, this dude's kind of a loser. It was very similar. So like they were my first experience of like having a professional manager ever. So it was very much so like, oh, this is how they do things, what they do. But after, a certain period of time, and there's kind of one situation that stuck out. So basically a sale kind of got stolen from me by another agent. And this was like, I came on in November and this happened literally in December. So I was very immature in my ways. I took it very personal, and like I was
rapping afterwards.
Yeah, I was like, nah, he's got to see me for that. I was like, nah, let me relax, because I had someone else that I was very close to. He was like, nah, that's not how we do things. That's not how you do it in this kind of role. Just kind of the way they handled it. They kind of blamed it on me, like me and my inexperience. Like they blamed it on me for not closing it, and me not. And I kind of understand as a manager now, like we just want the deal closed. Yeah, I just didn't like the way it was handled, and that was my first kind of eye-opening moment of how things should be done versus how they were done.
The biggest thing that I knew we were there around that time was we went from one agency to another.
Yeah.
And that's when I thought in my mind, okay, I need two managers now because I can't be in two places at once. Mm-hmm. Therefore, I've got to have representation at each office. And so I take my top two salespeople at the time and we plug them at each agency. And the number one indicator that maybe these aren't the right people in the seat was that we were no longer two different agencies. And we were like, and it was nice to have like competition amongst each other. Mm-hmm. We actually started hating each other. Yeah. Like you started looking at the other office like, f them.
100%.
Right?
100%. Yeah.
And that's when I knew like, okay, we're no longer one agency and this is a problem. Yeah. And so that was like the first thing. And the second, this is the number one reason why I knew this person that I had in this seat, turning into like a whole venting session about like, bad management, was my service team was clashing with this manager. And they said, like sometimes when more calls are coming in, we need help. And this person would refuse to answer calls. Like he would just let them ring, right? Or he would answer because I made them answer and would just say, just not even like help them. And so this was the number one indicator. I was just like, okay, he's not the fit, was when he said, and any leader, if you're a manager, you want to be a manager or a leader in any situation, if you say, that's not my job, that is the quickest way for you to get demoted or for you to get fired, just to lose that seat. Because as a leader, everything is your fault. Everything is your job. Like it all rose up to you. Even in our worst months, it's my fault. Yeah, It trickles up to me. It's like I screwed up somewhere along the lines that made this our outcome, that made this the outcome. And leaders just take ownership and accountability. So when I heard that, I was like, okay, all right. And he doubled down on it too. He doubled down. I took him out to lunch. We talked about it. And he was just like, yeah, that's not my job. And like with a stupid little smile on his face. And so I was like, oh yeah, it's time to go. Anyways, those are some mistakes. I just wanted to share. Wait to see how they treat those around them. Wait to see what kind of initiative that they take. And that's something that these guys did a tremendous job at while still reaching their goals and stuff like that. And it wasn't always perfect. I think there were some opportunities that like we had to grow into. I had to grow into as a leader to be able to help develop you guys. But insurance agents, what is every agency's highest closing lead source without fail? Personal referrals. What if I told you I could help you turbocharge the frequency in which you got personal referrals? In the last 5 years, I've written over 5,000 items and $3.5 million in premium from inbound organic sources, and it cost me nothing. How? Because posting on social media is free. If you want to turn your agency into a referral machine, then go to nicksaka.com/creators and sign up for the Insurance Creators Mastermind, where me and my team will meet with you and your team twice a month to help you with something that no other agency is doing. Imagine having the guidance, the ideas, the trends, and the strategies that actually work in converting more business for your agency. Go to nicksaka.com/creators for more. Now, back to the show. But that's that. So that's Voss's kind of story. Jacob, I guess, I don't know if there's anything you want to share on
No,
your journey.
well, just the idea is that, mine was honestly kind of very opposite of Vasa when it came to wanting the leadership role, where I was very upfront about it from the beginning when you hired me. Like, I came from running retail stores, so I was used to being in that general manager position. And I knew it was going to be a starting back from zero and having to grind my way back up. But, it was one of those where I realized what needed to be done. And you were very vocal about what needed to be done, which helped. But the idea behind, we have a bottom line here. Like, you are hired for a reason. You do your job and you get your job done. Now you add value, where it's, I will sell and I will meet my sales goals and I will do great at it. But there's things that need to be done with the agency. There's things that need to be done wherever you're at, because like the leader, the agency owner, or the main person can't do everything. They have so many hats on, where there are other hats that need to be filled. When you brought me on, you didn't have an operations manager. I made a need for that. I found flaws in our processes. I found easier ways to market, like stuff like that, where not a lot of people take the initiative to go through. They just think, oh, I'm going to be, as you said, great at sales. That makes me a great person to lead sales, where it's like, there's so many little nuances that people don't realize, that you have to add value, but you also have to meet the bottom line. You have to do your job that you were hired for. Mm-hmm. But that was kind of my logic about getting this. And I had to wait a little while to get it, but that was part of the, the waiting process. Was, can I do this consistently? And consistency is the biggest thing. So
yeah. One thing you said that I want to highlight is you found things that you could take off my plate. There were it's interesting. You say that I made it obvious that there were other things that I needed help with, which is actually, I don't know if that's true, because I feel like agency owners, we kind of struggle with articulating that, what we're working on that's like consuming our time, that's like that we're not able to focus on bigger things and bigger picture stuff. I felt like you just did the math. Like, you just figured out what was on my plate and then just slowly started asking to be able to take those responsibilities off my plate. That's not something that, one, is typical of somebody, and then two, I don't think that's typical of an agency owner to be able to like write down a list of everything that, okay, I don't really want to do this anymore. I don't want to do that anymore. And so I know some agency owners are still selling in their agencies, or I'm blessed in the sense that you guys have taken a lot of responsibilities off my plate to allow me to, one, YouTube's one of them. Two, we're launching this other community mastermind coming out soon. More on that, guys. We'll tell you guys about that. So actually, but you know what? By the time of this recording, while you guys watch this, I'm coming out with a social media mastermind that you guys will have access to, and so I'll put more details in the caption with that. But you guys are able to help me focus on that, and and so as I ask you guys this next question, we'll probably kind of like segue into that. But Jacob, what are you responsible for right now?
Oh God, what am I not responsible for is probably an easier question. To start it off easily, I'm responsible for operations. So any of the daily operations, that includes any of the quoting, the new business, checking documents and stuff like that, making sure that's all running automatically. I've got a good system for that. I'm in charge of our service and inbound team, where it's making sure that they are doing their job, picking up the phones, like processing things in an ethical manner. I'm responsible for the ethicalness of the sales team, the actual outbound sales team. We're making sure that they're processing things properly and denying policies if they're not. And then I'm also out in charge of a lot of the marketing stuff, where I deal with a lot of the leads and, a little bit of the nitpicking and finding out perfect zip codes. And then I'm also the HR department here until we get an actual HR person. So I run payroll. I do everything here. And I help assist Vasa with the sales team. That is more of his wheelhouse, but I don't leave him to dry there. I help assist him with that too. So I basically just do everything.
Yeah, Jacob's really just become the extension of me for when I'm not here, and just really just making sure everything just kind of flows. There's also like that morale piece where it's like everyone needs to be getting along. If we're not, it crumbles. So there's just that relationship piece. It's not just all those responsibilities, but that piece, which is big, at least for our culture. And then also a big thing is, and I don't know if you mentioned it, but coaching, training, developing our service side.
Yep.
And making sure that they're hitting cross-selling goals and retention goals and things like that. So you oversee everything, and that's a big responsibility. So I think you nailed it. Like, what am I not responsible for? But we built it that way. Vasa, what are you responsible for?
I'm responsible for, the hiring and training of the sales team, and that's kind of my one area. Yeah, it's what I love to do. I take care of their trainings. I go over, how we do things, how we quote people, our sales processes, all of our platforms that we utilize, all of our systems that we use, and
Accountability, right? Meeting with the sales team on a one-on-one basis. The data really starts with you because right now you're managing every quote that we're processing and then the outcome of those quotes. And so that really starts with you. And as time goes on too, we're going to figure out, we're supposed to be figuring out like what are some of the technical stuff that doesn't deserve your time anymore, so we can delegate some of that stuff. What does a day in the life of Vasa look like?
I'm usually coming in around 8 o'clock so that way I can check yesterday's progress. So tracking quotes, tracking our systems in terms of, how the leads went, how many quotes were done, and kind of transferring that systems from our agency's data into our marketing data so we can, track down leads and make sure we're spending our money on the right type of clients, things of that nature. And then from there, once the day starts with the entire team at about 8:30, we're starting morning huddles. We're getting everyone ready for the day, kind of icebreakers, role playings, things of that nature, just to kind of get the wheels turning. And then I have a schedule of one-on-one trainings that I do every other week with our current 7 licensed agents at the moment. And then in between there, pinging resumes on recruiting websites. I'm also scheduling interviews, setting those in person as well as Zoom, if that is the right fit. And then toss up between there because I could be pulled in different directions at any given moment. And we're moving. So
yeah, I think the two biggest things, and the biggest thing that you've taken on most recently, it has been hiring. You've taken a bigger step into hiring for the agency, which honestly is one of the biggest things that I was focused on myself, constantly looking for people to add. We're always hiring, and I feel like you have to, because if you're not, and I was just talking to one of my friends earlier today, and he had somebody that, holy cow, is the most disrespectful employee of all time, where it's like he was 3 hours late on Friday, and then today there's no call, no show, and this is one of his first team members, and so he's just like, what do I do? And I'm just like, well, you should have kept hiring, so that way you don't need this person, and 2, there should have been a verbal already. There should have been, he should be getting fired today, pretty much,
100%
kind of thing. But you should always be hiring. And one of the questions I wanted to ask you was hiring. Yeah. What are you looking for when you're hiring? Because you're primarily focused on hiring salespeople. Yes. And you guys kind of teeter-totter. It's like, if you're not available, can you handle this interview?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest one is just being coachable. That's one thing that we have to identify pretty early on, just because of, me, myself, coming from an industry that has nothing to do with sales or insurance coming into it. You have to be very coachable to adapt, and that's usually kind of what we're looking for. And shout out to Jacob. We've kind of brought in a process to kind of coach in the interview to see if they can, 1, handle the criticism, and 2, take that criticism and put it to use. So mainly being coachable, that's the first one. The second one that I'm really looking for is they got to be a good culture fit, because like how you touched on earlier with, not having the right people in place, it can crumble real quick because you're losing good people, not even off of leads, not even off of insurance-wise, just drama. So I got to try to find the right people within, the 1 to 2 interviews that we do have, if they're going to be a good fit for not only how I like to manage and how I like to deal with things, also with the people that are already established here, people that already, know how we do things. If they're not gelling together, it's not going to be a good fit. I don't care how good you are at sales. Unfortunately, my 7 people that I trust are not worth the 1 person that I'm barely coming into my life with. You know what I mean? So,
and it doesn't even matter if they put up 100 items or 100 policies. Like, it doesn't matter how much you put up. If you're not a good fit, you're not about to ruin it for the rest of us. And
100%. You can't let that one, grape ruin the vine. So. Yeah.
Yep. And you've also taken a big responsibility of actually handling the one position that we have that has probably the most turnover is sales, right? And one thing you've really taken also is terminating people.
Yeah, I'll be firing them. I'll be letting them go. Yeah, like I said, I can't let them spoil everybody else. So if it's not a good fit,
and that's not an easy thing. It still sucks to this day to have to let people go. But you just, as long as you look at it as, 1, we're doing them a disservice by holding them onto here because they're probably meant to go do something else.
100%.
And 2, it's going to ruin, maybe it's going to be a disservice to what we've got here, whether that's standards and accountability, and you have somebody putting up low performance, then it shows the rest of the team that this is okay, this is acceptable.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we've been kind of talking about lately is people are wired to do just enough to get by.
Yep.
People are wired that way, and I'm glad you guys are kind of seeing it.
Yeah.
And even back to that situation where my friend has to let this, he might be letting this guy go. He's enabled him that this is okay, that this behavior is okay.
Yeah.
And one thing we're pretty good at is really quickly it's letting somebody go if we identify they're not a good fit.
I should have been a little professional there, but I don't enjoy it. But I think once again, it comes from sports. Like, so playing football and playing baseball and all those things. My bad. You learn, if you're not the right guy for that position. Like, I've been bumped from the starting spot, especially like I didn't experience that until I got to college. But you have those uncomfortable conversations. I mean, and even if you don't play the sport, if you watch things like Hard Knocks, they keep it very professional. If we're cutting you, it's just we've got to move. You know what I mean? Like, it's nothing against you, and you touch on it. It's nothing that I want to hold you back from. It's just kind of, this is for both of us. So yeah, the reason I think I do so well at it is just because I want the best for you, regardless. It's just not with me and my team. So
yeah, but what makes it harder though is if you don't set clear expectations day one.
Yeah.
Those are the hardest fires if you didn't set clear expectations because they're completely blindsided by it. So as long as they know I've got to do this, and if they're falling short and you've had multiple touch points like the verbals, the writtens, hey, we've got to see you turn a corner, those are the easiest ones because they totally see it coming.
Yeah.
And it's usually the ones where there's other situations where we bring somebody on and it's like, I'll admit, like, dude, I made a bad hire, man. It's like I brought in the wrong person, guys. And we've had some people not take it so well where it's like we didn't give them enough time, but that's just because we recognize quickly, like, whether it's culturally or just performance, like, I don't think this is going to be a good fit. And so, but when you set clear expectations, letting people go is like super. It's a lot easier.
100%.
They take it. Jacob, what's a day in the life of Jacob?
Very similar to Vasa, get in at 8 o'clock. Make sure to check emails the first thing that I do because you'll send a lot of compliance ones in the mornings and making sure that it's all good there. So if that's all good, then it's on to the next thing, which is checking Humble and making sure everything's good with our quoting and make sure everything's accurate there. And then 8:30 comes around, I'm following Vasa's lead. We do our morning role plays. I get involved in those. I've role played with the team too. I make sure that, they can hold up to my standards because I have very high standards for our team. And then, 9 o'clock hits, we're on the phones. And at that point, the day honestly officially begins because it's, now I'm getting into actually like micromanaging our lead sources, not our team, but the actual lead sources. And then making sure anything HR that comes up, like not just, complaints or anything, if we don't get a lot of those, but, like time off, making sure all that stuff is taken care of. All like these little nitpicky things that like, not a lot of people want to deal with, I relish in because it's easy to do. And at some point, it can get automated where a lot of this stuff, once you do it every single day, it's just automated. So you have a lot of free time to make sure you're actually developing your team. So I'm very much like Vasa. I have biweekly schedules with not just our sales team, but our service team, including our service managers, to make sure that they are doing what they are supposed to do. And compliance is probably my big wheelhouse where I very, very, very heavily monitor compliance. I make sure that, we do everything ethically over here and make sure everything's good. That way our sales team can just focus on selling. If they're trained up the proper way, they can focus on selling. And then, and then I will say one thing too. I'm probably one of the first people out of here at 5:30. Like, I get here probably, me and Boss are usually the first in the office, but 5:30, I'm out. Get your work done during the day.
Yeah.
Get out of here 5:30, forget about this place.
Yeah. Like, go enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And sorry if I bug you guys outside of here. I know I bug you maybe a little bit more nowadays than before, but I try not to. But sometimes ideas just come to me and I'm just like, I gotta say this right now. Like, it's just not as important, not as impactful to put it in my notes and then just to bring it up tomorrow. Cause it's like, maybe because I'm in that spirit at that very moment, but
that's different than me like having to take work home with me though. Like I don't like get here to like I don't stay until 6 or 6:30 and be like I still have so much work to do. It's like everyone has time to get it done during the day.
Yes. Like
you cut a lot of the chit chat out. You cut a lot of the BS, the cooler talks or just playing on your phone. Like we all do it. Like I do it still, but like you can make the time to do that. Like, but don't let that interrupt your actual work day.
Yeah, it's so funny. We just did the C8 Summit, and one of the main reasons why agents don't focus on social media, it's the number one reason is, oh, I just don't have the time, or I don't know how.
Yeah.
And what's funny was, and I probably started saying this about like the fourth or fifth presentation, was interesting. You don't have time? Do me a favor. Pull out your phones right now. Go to your screen time. How much time do you spend on those apps? You're on those apps.
Yeah.
You're just not producing content.
Yeah.
You're just wasting time consuming content.
Doom scrolling.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I don't have time is actually BS. You just need to like build your shop on the platform. Build it so that way you can start doing transactions. But instead, you're over here going to everybody else's store. Ooh, that's good. Man, that's fire. The question I have for you, Jacob, is I have big standards regarding operations, which you touched on. I got that from banking. In banking, we used to have an operations manager that would come every week just to make sure we were doing things right. And you missed a signature here, like they would ream us and you would be like in hot water, if you didn't have your ducks in a row. And then an auditor would come by every quarter, I think it was. And so like everything from when you're opening the branch to like, you can't look away from your money. Like if you're right here, I can't look away from my money because if you're going to something, you can steal my money and then I'm short. So there's all these different things that just trained me operationally to be like savvy, like, and there's not an auditor that comes here, but I'm confident that if an auditor were to come, like we would be in a good situation, right? And so Jacob, you are a godsend when it comes to operations because my standards are pretty high there, but you've also have kind of taken initiative on a lot of those processes. But the second thing is I have really high expectations for culture. I'm talking like the overall agency vibe, right? And so what are some of the things that you do to enforce that agency culture? You've brought in some of your own things. One of the things is I love when you're very creative with our team meetings and just like the icebreakers. And you come up with ideas that I'm just like, I'm a creative person, but I'm like, that's awesome. And so I guess just talk about how you've grown in that department from a culture standpoint and, just loving on our people and making sure that they feel comfortable and stuff like that. I guess just talk about that.
So one of the neat things about being in insurance and being with an insurance agency is that these teams aren't big. Like, yeah, we have like 20 plus people, but like compared to, where I was at before AT&T, that was like hundreds of employees. Like, so I probably shouldn't be doing this just because but I think it just works. But like, I kind of blur the line between, manager and person. Like, I don't want the team to see me as just a manager. I want them to see me as someone who actually has a personality and, has interests outside of here and doesn't want to talk about sales all the time. Like a lot of the time in my free time, I am out roaming the sales floor. If I don't see someone's, busy, I'll chat with them for 5 minutes. I'll find out about their life, I'll ask them how everything's doing. So I build this kind of connection with people. So that way they learn about me, I learn about them. And doing that, it is easy to identify culture problems when you do that, especially because you're learning about their actual personality versus their sales personality. But, like I said, I try to blur the line a little bit because like, I don't see a point in just trying to be a manager. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't work and people don't respond to you. If they think that this person's just telling me to do this, this, and this, this, and this, then they're just trying to meet quotas where it's like, no, I'm talking to this person because they told me their goal is to buy a house in 2 years. So now I'm trying to encourage them to do that. And so getting involved with the culture instead of just managing the culture is such a big thing.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of see a lot of where I really try to, get out there and do instead of just sitting in my office all the time and staring at spreadsheets for 8 hours a day, because that's also boring. But, and like when it comes to like these little icebreakers, like I want to do things that get the team energized and motivated. Like occasionally, we'll do like, what's your moment of gratitude? Like, what are you grateful for? Which is, it's easy, but like, we'll do like some things that involve, ping pong balls. You have to throw them across the room into cups, like, but it gets the team like just kind of churning their wheels into not a normal just office cubicle on the phones all the time job. You're doing fun things with the team and getting involved, and everyone knows everyone here. So I really try to foster that kind of culture because one, it helps get rid of any toxicity that's there. Yeah. Like I can tell you now, probably the last recorded case of someone actually stealing a sale was probably like a year ago. And like, that's like someone coming to me and complaining about it. Like, and we don't see that happen because our team is so bought into each other as well. So when you buy into your team, they buy into each other.
there's that book called Radical Candor, where it's like people, and that's just a sign of a good leader. It's when you actually like care. There's that saying that people don't care about how much you know, they want to know how much you care. They don't remember what you do, what you said, but they remember how you made them feel. You've grown a lot in that area. That was like that was the one box that I was like, if Jacob can check this box, he will be dangerous. And I think you've grown so much in that area. So that's awesome, man. Vasa, same question. Running a sales team is people are stressed. They got numbers to hit. Keeping them in good spirits isn't always easy too. What's that balance of making sure that they're hitting their numbers and they're in good spirit?
Yeah, it's a lot of what Jacob mentioned of getting a one-on-one connection with them. I also think it does have to come from a point, or you also have to have an aspect of camaraderie between the team. I think that's something that we have really strong here, where it's not just me and Jacob leading conversations, or me and Jacob are the ones to run to. I think when you have a sales team that feeds energy off of each other, it's perfect. And that's kind of the culture we've established. So you have someone to the left and to the right of you that's going through the same fight, even though we are selling the same policies, we're selling the same things, all the leads are the same, no one has their own specific thing. It's very much so kind of like, I want you to win, but I'm also trying to compete against you. So it's a balance culture-wise there, as well as in my one-on-one coachings that I have. A lot of the times that I'm talking to them, especially say you're having a down month or if you're having a really high month, I kind of try to keep you balanced. I talk about vices outside of this because those are extremely important. If you're just selling all day and then you're going home to do nothing, just watch Netflix, it's not really going to get you very far because your mind is going back to work or your mind is going back to home. So having vices of working out, going to the gym, kind of art, reading, going to shows, being inside of something else, get your mind away from you. That way you are where your feet are. So I think that's very important in that whole sales mindset. So
yeah. And then also, I know you guys do this we make everybody fill out a 2-year game plan. We want to know, like, what are they working towards? Because if you just have them, hey, this is your goal, you got to sell 50 policies. There's no like weight to that. But when we've done the math and it's like, hey, what are you working towards? I want to be a homeowner this year. Okay, well, this is why you need 50 policies every single month, because that's going to give you this amount and that will help you be able to save up for the down payment of that house. So I think just caring about people and their success more than just here. And I like to just make sure I give everyone this opportunity to grow, whether it's here or not. I want to give you a platform and a foundation to be able to grow, so that way you're better off in the next thing that you do, whether that's as a person or as a salesperson, a business owner, an artist, like comedian, like whatever that is. I hope that you are better because what you learned here. So, yeah,
100%. Yep, 100%. I agree.
How often are you meeting with the sales team?
In a one-on-one,
one-on-ones or spot coachings?
Yeah, so spot coachings is every day. There's not a day that we don't.
Even with our veterans, like it's every day.
We're addressing whether we hear it, in the wild, we're walking around, we hear something, or if it's something that they kind of bring to us. Like usually when it's spot coachings, it's usually a frustration moment where it's like, shoot. And then I'm kind of just like, what's up? What's going on? Kind of hearing where they're coming from. And then we kind of talk about it and they're like, yeah, I could have did this. A lot of times it's just self-reflection. But and then one-on-one coachings, they're happening every other week because me and Jacob are kind of switching off on that. That way a lot more time of mine is allowed for, interviews. It's allowed for bringing people within the agency. So
we also have two different types of like perspectives too. Like you sell a different way than I do.
Yeah.
So finding the two-headed beast there, like it's important for the sales team to combine how we both sell.
100%. We're both successful, and we're successful in our own aspects. So it's good to hear from both of us to kind of try to create the best of us in them. So
yeah, cool. How do you balance accountability and micromanaging?
Well, that's the trick. You don't micromanage. Like that's the trick. If anyone's curious, you don't micromanage, especially in sales, because in sales there should only be a couple things you're managing. Like for us, we manage essentially like there is like other things that we care about, but 4 things matter. How much are you selling? It's the top of the pyramid. If you're at the top of the pyramid and it's, compliant and ethical, you're good. But if you're not there, we look at, are you putting in the work? You're here for, I tell people whenever I hire them, you are here for 8 hours a day. let's say you spend 1 hour of that training, a full hour of that training, which I think is a lot, then there are 7 hours left in the day. We want you to be, on the phone for at least 3 of it. So it's less than half of the day. Like that leaves a lot of room to do your documents and, do your uploading. But talk time, are you on the phone for 3 hours? Did you talk to 8 different people? Okay. And if you didn't talk to 8 different people, did you at least make an effort and dial? Like maybe we didn't have our telemarketers. Maybe some people called out. Maybe it's just a bad day. Did you dial at least, 100, 150 people? Like that's what I manage. I just show if you did effort. Like, and those are the categories. Like, I don't have to micromanage. I don't have to say you're calling like these particular leads. You're not doing this. You shouldn't be on your phone during this time. You need to be posting to your socials more. I know that's something that you're big about, but like, at the end of the day, I can just look at these activities because numbers don't lie. I can see your numbers and be like, what are we doing all day? Yeah. And that's all the accountability I need. Like, I don't need to be on someone's part of my friend. I don't need to be on their ass the whole time, like because nobody wants that. And I hated being micromanaged when I was in the positions, before I started working here. And so as a manager, I try to foster a culture where micromanaging is something that we just don't do here because I think it's stupid. And I think it creates a toxic work environment and makes people quit. And I don't want people to quit. I want them to stay here and sell. So,
yeah.
100%. Yeah. I think it also, it can get, especially from our position, if you're too high up and you're not developing a relationship with your people, it's very easy to just focus purely on the numbers and micromanage and not understand who they are and why they do what they do. And like we mentioned, we have clear expectations. We also know what your goals are. So it's not just me saying you need to hit these numbers for the agency. I want you to win because I want you to buy that house with your family. I want you to win because you want to put your kid in college. So it's not me wanting you to succeed for my benefit. I want you to win for you. So me holding you accountable of why we have these expectations and why we've laid it all out for you, it makes it real easy for it to not get, not have a toxic culture.
Right. And genuinely wanting that for people.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's something, you can't, learn that or read that in a book. Like, you have to actually care about people.
Right.
Like, what are you actually working towards? And help me help you get there. And so that's where a lot of leaders go wrong.
Mm-hmm. Don't micromanage.
Don't micromanage. All right, so I think it'll be fun to look back at this recording in the future. Right now, here are our stats. We're floating between 300, 400 items. We are a team of about 20 team members. We've got about a $20 million book, and it'll be fun to see these statistics in the future when maybe it's like we watch this video 2-3 years from now. Maybe we do a redo. But I wanted to ask this one interesting question, and it'll be funny to have it on air. Where can I improve as a leader? Oof. Or maybe to make it a double-edged sword. What do you value in my leadership, and where can I improve? On air, no pressure.
Oh, yeah. Shit. The biggest value that I take from you is that you actually care about, not only me, you care about, how my family's doing, you care about how I am as a person. Like every time we ever do a training, we do a one-on-one, even if I'm walking in the hall, the first question is always, how are you doing? And I don't think it's not a gimme of just like, how you doing? Walk by. It's literally like, I want to know how you are. That way I care about you being good. And then from there on, let's work on the things we can work on. So I think that's the biggest value I see in you is that you care about your people as a person. And like you said, you can't teach that. I myself struggle at it sometimes just because, once again, being an athlete, it's all about producing the numbers. But you are probably one of the best people I've ever seen show that type of care in another person that you don't need to. So
yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
where can I improve?
You get squirrel brain sometimes. Yeah, you will jump from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, to the next in the span of 5 minutes. Which
so true.
It's in like that's why you brought me on as the position I am, is to take all 5 of those things in the 5 minutes you do and make them happen. Yeah. But maybe just spread them out. Like maybe don't do.
Can you just stay on one task?
Yeah. Let's focus on this first because this is definitely more important than this. But a lot of the times, like I'm gonna bring up right now where you're just like I'm gonna bring my manager on and ask questions. I'm gonna write that down now. Like so it's like just like little things where it's like I don't think it's a big deal, but the improved focus could help you out as well.
That's like a gift and a curse because like you get all these ideas and you're not sure which one is actually the one, but you don't want to waste these opportunities or these ideas either. So it's like, I know one of them can hit. I strike out a lot on a lot of my ideas, but the ones that hit, man.
They hit. They certainly do. Like, your leads definitely hit. Like,
yeah. So awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I think it's good for me to just see this, and even like everybody else watching, ask your team where you can be better. I'm pretty sure there's other things that we can all improve on. And so, what advice? Last question: do you guys have for somebody that would like to be in your seat, or how to take things to the next level? Maybe if they're already in that seat.
I mentioned this earlier in this little interview, but the biggest thing that I can give you, if you're just looking for one word, and I know it's going to sound cheesy and stuff, but consistency. Like, you need to consistently be doing your job and doing it well. Like, if you are hired on to do sales, you consistently do your sales. You don't, you have you can have a bad month every now and then if that's, how your agency works, but like consistently put up what is expected of you, and even more than that, but also that's where it's going to go into the consistency of adding value, where it's not just consistency in sales, it's consistency in trying to do what's best for, the place that you work versus just trying to do it for promotion. I can implement a process that's like, I think this is going to be great. I think this is going to help the agency out. And if I don't do anything for 4 months after that, like I was doing that for like almost no reason. Like I'm actively trying to improve where I work to make it a better place for myself, but also make it so I'm, as you said, taking things off your plate at that point. So if you're trying to move into a position, when it comes to like, in my situation, operations, obviously I'm doing a lot for the agency. Do a lot for the agency without the expectation of doing or having the title or the promotion with it. Like just do it and do it consistently.
Yeah, that's good.
100%. Yeah, that was literally my takeaway from it. My bad. That was my takeaway from it. You've gotta do things first and let the reward come to you. Like I wasn't expecting to be a manager. I didn't ask to be a manager, but seeing what I've been able to produce, and maybe Nick didn't see it, maybe he did see it, whatever it may be. But once I was out because my knee was gone, you can identify I wasn't there anymore. So whether you want to move up in management or whether you don't, just put in the work and allow your fruits to show for it, and
make it to where the agency wouldn't spin the same without you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you can do that, then you've got some leverage in that agency operation. But if we as the agency owner can look at you and go, all right, walk, like, oh, like, all right, fine. It's like, then it shouldn't be easy to let somebody walk, if that makes sense. Yeah. And if it is, then you need to basically create that value, right? Make your presence felt and heard. And in your situation, when you were in a car accident and you were away from the agency, it was like, okay, it's preferred that boss is here, right? And so same with Michelle, the one manager that's not here. It's Michelle. And, I joke with her all the time. I'm like, you need to give me a 6 months notice if you're ever leaving, because that's how much it's going to take for me to be able to replace you. So, yeah, well, I hope you guys got value. Honestly, I think that this is probably one of the best insurance-related videos I have put out. And, I mean that. So you guys crushed it. Thank you, guys. And so, yeah, if you guys got value, you got to do me a huge favor. You got to share this video. You got to hit that like button. Comment on the YouTube video. Stop commenting just on Facebook and the other platforms. Comment on YouTube. That's what helps the algorithm. And, I appreciate you guys. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
There you go.
Peace.